That was close. Okay, now we're recording, and you go right ahead.
I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the Wethersfield School Board at 6:32. And we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we have any changes or additions to the agenda?
I don't have anything. I don't know about Brian.
No, I don't.
Okay. Next up, we have the approval of the minutes from March 8th. I'll make a motion. Nicole is making a motion to approve. Seconding.
Marcos.
We'll start with you, Mark.
Yes.
Under production. I thought we had talked about outside or
Depending on what the
the
situation
weather.
is. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I'll put the minutes in the chat too.
Okay. Mark, you're good with the rest of the minutes?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, well then we'll do a roll call. Mark?
Aye.
Jamie? Aye. Paul? Aye. Ann? Aye. Janice? Up next, we have public participation and announcements. PJ, do you have a list? If you are online and you wish to participate, please type into the chat what information I'm collecting.
I just have one here, probably a question here about the Prince's Police report.
Okay. Okay, yeah, come on, just type your name into the chat and what your topic is. Let me know. I don't have my login information. Okay, well then, we have one person who wishes to speak. Ryan Gay, would like to speak.
It's gonna be following up about something that Mr. Martin is gonna reach out with them.
Oh, okay, so you want, so something that's on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, sorry, I just noticed.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
There might be two things with that here.
okay. All right, as far as public participation went, I just wanted to let everyone know that we do have a new SU policy regarding that. Not much different than what we have been doing, but I just thought I'd read it aloud for everyone. It is the policy of the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union Board and its members, districts, Heartland, Scotty, and Wethersfield to encourage public participation at its meetings. Background: public participation is very important to the successful Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union Board and also the Wethersfield School Board. The board wants to carry out its business with the benefit of public input and expertise. We would also want to keep the public informed and up to date on what is happening in the community schools. That said, public participation is not a public debate or forum. It is a period during which members of the public may voice concerns to their board members and have them heard. Mediation may follow as appropriate, but not at the time of the comments. Further, it is a transgression of the laws for individuals to preclude the board from exercising the conduct of a public meeting.
Anne Marie? This
Yes,
is,
David?
this is David. I assume we have somebody taking minutes tonight because Becky's not here, correct?
I'm taking minutes. Nicole,
Okay. All right, great. I remember we sent some emails back and forth, but thanks, Nicole.
Okay, so if there's no public participation, if there's no one online, okay, we'll move on to the lead learners report. Brian?
Alrighty. All right, good evening, everyone. So, lead learner report for April 5th, 2022. First off, without further ado, we're going to go ahead. We have some guests here from WISE, and they're going to explain a little bit about the WISE program that's going to be going on here at Wethersfield School right after spring break. Come on up.
Where is the best place so that everyone can see and hear?
Probably right there. Is that good with everybody else right there?
Your presentation is actually.
Okay, then let me stop sharing that.
Thank you for putting that up there.
All right, maybe up here.
Okay.
Okay, but be careful with the cord. All right.
Try not to be blinded by the
Yeah.
projector.
You can stand this way. Get out of the way.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for giving us a couple of minutes of your time. We're so excited to be able to have WISE programming in the Wethersfield School. WISE has prevention education programming from kindergarten through, I like to say Ken Hill and Hanover, that's less funny here, but throughout a student's school career in 9 different school districts across the Upper Valley, including a number of private schools and homeschools. And the reason that we do this is because 28% of boys and 12% of girls who experience sexual violence across their lifetime experience it for the first time before they're 10. The majority of those never disclose as children. And WISE believes that everyone plays a part in preventing the abuse of children and in responding to kids so that they get the resources they need to thrive. Our program is really focused on 3 components: preventing child sexual abuse by increasing protective factors, encouraging immediate disclosures and supporting the teachers and adults in their lives who can respond effectively, and building lifelong skills so that young people grow up to be happy, safe, and healthy in their relationships. We have a number of different documents that explain the learning objectives, the health standards that we meet, and the content of each of our lessons. Those are helpfully available on the school district website as well as distributed through the health classes that they're provided through. For grades K through 12, we're really working with students to develop skills to ask for help, to cope with feelings and identify them, to ask for adults to help them to cope with feelings, to learn about the names and functions of their bodies and the difference between public conversations and private conversations about those body parts, to help build nurturing and empathy skills, especially for caring for babies, and to start learning about asking for permission, that each of our bodies belong to us, that we need to ask other people before we touch their bodies, and they need to ask us before they touch ours. We have these super cute little baby dolls that Celine can show you that the kids absolutely adore. And so many of the young kids in our classes actually have young siblings and are so skilled and thoughtful and caring when they talk to us about how they take care of those baby siblings at home. One little kindergartner made sure that we were holding the baby so that their head was supported because babies aren't strong enough to hold up their own heads. In the older elementary years, we reinforce these ideas about how do we learn to name our feelings and respond to our feelings effectively so that kids understand that it's okay to feel how you're feeling, but we're all responsible for our own behaviors. And those behaviors, when we're feeling strong emotions, can't hurt or impact other people negatively. We help them to learn about navigating their friend relationships, especially when there's conflict in those friend relationships, and think about how we can respond to those conflicts without responding negatively to the person. And we help young people to develop a sense of themselves so that when their gut tells them that something is right or wrong, they're able to identify that feeling and go with their gut. And finally, we really, really focus once again on how to identify the trusted adults in your lives and how to ask for help from those trusted adults so that if the first person you tell doesn't help you in a way that makes the problem stop, you know to keep telling and keep reaching out. I'm happy to take questions while I'm here. I don't want to take up too much time in your meeting. We're also happy to show you some of the books that we use and the activities that are available. There are also take-home sheets after every program so that every parent will get to see exactly the language that we're using, the learning objectives that we're striving towards, and some helpful activities or tips for reinforcing those ideas out. Does anyone have any questions? Nobody's asking anyone in person wants to ask any questions? Thank you. Thank you so
very
much.
We appreciate you being here. Nice to meet you. Right. Is that big enough for everybody to see? Yeah, okay. All right, next up, we have our spring sports update. See if my sound works. All right, so Jessica, are you on there?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you. Great.
Okay, great. Yes, I'm here. Just a quick update about spring sports. We're off and rolling with our 3rd and 4th grade baseball teams, 5th and 6th grade softball and baseball, and 7th and 8th grade softball at Weathersfield. We've communicated with the other teams that we weren't able to host due to lack of participation, but we found options for everybody. We also have, I forgot to tell Brian, is that we've started our spring registration for soccer. That's been announced and has been sent out to parents through BJ, and it's in Brian's, I think it's in one of his newsletters. We'll keep sending that out. Registration doesn't close for a few weeks on that. We're not starting that until after spring break anyways, but we'll hope for some of this better weather and the sunshine, which is really good for our fields. So let's hope that that keeps moving.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Was she done?
She's got one more slide.
I was just curious about if there was any updates on, doing some work to the softball.
Yes, actually, there is updates on that. So we talked to our maintenance department for the SU, so they are going to come up with a plan. I also reached out to the parent that was here last month at the board meeting and said that we're going to come up with something. So we're going to start looking for some parent volunteers to also be able to help out. What's up and running to the best condition that we possibly can. Just up until this point, the weather up until this week hasn't really been worthwhile to go out, but we will be able to start doing that.
Great. Yeah, just keep me updated.
Absolutely. I got your, yep. Love to have you out there to help out for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Why is it not moving now?
We have some online here.
Okay. Sorry.
Mark?
Just could you CC the board members in case we're available to help with that field work, please, Brian?
Absolutely. I will send out a call for all help, actually. Once we go out there, we'll do it on a Saturday and do a little fun Saturday yard work on a larger scale, for sure. But yeah, no, absolutely. Make it a fun day for everybody to be able to help out and do as much as we can. For sure. Go ahead, Jessica. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to reiterate that I talked to the facilities crew as well. along with Brian, and that they just did Windsor's today. So I know we're next on the list. And thankfully, we're hoping for more dry weather than rain so that they're able to get on our fields. But we definitely will look for some parent participation, not just for the, one day, but we're looking for hopefully a few parents who will hopefully jump out, once a week if they're there for practices and be able to help maintain the fields if Windsor can do the big manpower work that they need to do to get the fields at least ready.
Well, and then Jessica and I were talking today, I had a parent reach out to me as well as about possibly putting in some dugouts for the softball fields too. So I talked to Jim Taft, our maintenance department, and he said, yes, parent projects are definitely possible to do. So we'll start looking into that as well. So I'm going to meet with her this week to be able to see if we can come up with a plan and be able to do some additional dugouts. The ones that are there too could use a little love and care, a little paint and everything else, but to make it look nice for both softball and baseball. Great. All right, sorry, let me unshare and then reshare because it's not sharing correctly. So I apologize for the technical issues today. June, for presentation. Share. There we go. Okay, go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, so just over 100 athletes for this spring so far, which is great. And that's not including the 20 plus athletes we have signed up for soccer. So I see Christian's on here, so I hope he's ready to get us going for some spring soccer, which is really excited. That will start after spring break as well. And then we're going to have our second annual Panther Paws Pride Night in June. And we will make sure not to do it on any night like Wethersfield Got Talent or any other nights that we might have other obligations at the school. But it's a great way that our student athletes will be able to put their paws on our shed just like they did last year, and we'll do a different color. And we'll celebrate kind of the whole year as a group, be able to share some food, some kickball, some basketball, and just be able to be all together again and celebrate the entire year of sports and how great it was.
Thanks, Jess. And it was great to go out there tonight and see our students out there practicing, our student athletes. So it was nice to see the nice weather and to see the kids out there having fun and learning some skills. So thank you. All right, 8th grade business update. Last month and the month before at our board meetings, our 8th graders presented their business plan about selling t-shirts and being able to get, they had 6 different groups that came up with 6 different designs, and they were able to put those online. They ended the sale on April 1st, and they sold a grand total of 101 items. We were sort of hoping for 25. So we set the bar here, and they definitely rose to that. And so that was a great opportunity for them. So now they're working out the details of collecting the money to make sure that they have those sweatshirts and t-shirts sold. So if you've ordered one, make sure you pay for it. And then that way, then the kids can determine how much money they made and where the charitable donations are going to go to from set on like how much they can gift each one that they did. So it was a great opportunity. So thank you again to Mr. Vila and Mr. Santangelo for doing that, and everybody that supported our 8th graders. It was truly an awesome event. And thank you to BJ, who ends up having to count all the money and deal with all the bookkeeping. So, all right, this week we practiced a bus evacuation drill to make sure that our kids are safe. It's always important. We have 4 buses here at school, and we did evacuation drills of all the students that rode the bus. I think the top bus was 46 seconds, if I remember right, something like that. And the kids did a really great job. It gives our older kids an opportunity to show the leadership skills to help to make sure that our younger kids are getting where they need to be, and to make sure that everybody is safe getting off the bus quickly. One of the things that we have to sort of work with the little ones on, especially, is like, leave your stuff on there. If something would happen in a real situation, we will replace whatever items are on your bus. You are more valuable than your items that are on the bus, so just let it go. And BJ tells them that all the time, but still some of the kids want to hold onto that backpack and make sure they play with them. But it was a great opportunity to see the kids in the morning. It was a Monday morning, a great day, and we got through the 4 buses and we did it really safely and quickly, which was nice. All right, Leader in Me is going really great. So we had an opportunity. We were supposed to go to Manchester, New Hampshire, to see a school there. And we had the opportunity because it was one of those days we were supposed to have icy road conditions. So we all decided, see a leadership school or take our lives into our hands. So we decided just to stay here, and they did a virtual model for us, which was great. But we were able to meet with ourselves and some of the Windsor staff, as well as some of the Heartland staff, and we met at the SU office, and we were able to see some of the things and talk to some of the other schools in our area that are doing Leader in Me. And it was a really great opportunity to be able to see successful schools in a lighthouse school. The tour was a little fast, and it was a little bit hard to see because our coach was doing it with her iPhone, and so she was bouncing around a little bit, but it gave us some really good insight and really started to jump kick us off a little bit. So that week we met with, the very next day actually, we met with the Lighthouse team, and we came up with some ideas. And so we're meeting again on the 20th and starting to schedule things so we can go full steam ahead with our Leader in Me program, which is great. And so Ms. Cole is continuing to do those lessons in the classrooms and give our students the opportunity. And more, we're starting to hear that language, that universal language across the school about being proactive and put first things first, and still sharpen the saw is my favorite one. I just think that one sounds the best, but just to work on those skills that the kids have already developed, which is nice. Enrollment and attendance for March 8th through yesterday, April 4th. Total enrollment, we're up to 240 students with an average daily attendance of 92.7. We've had a total of 4 new kids. We had 2 kindergartners, a 3rd grader, and an 8th grader this month. So coming in, which is great. And so it's been really great to meet all those kiddos and have them added to part of our school. And they've already seemed to fit right in. And you couldn't tell that they've only been here, a month or less. Okay, COVID update. So a couple of things happening with COVID update. So this 4th grade eating in the lunchroom as well. So it's been really great. We were going to do 4th grade last week, but because of the 2 minimum days and the really concise lunch periods, we hadn't worked out those bugs yet. So we wanted to make sure that 4th grade had a really positive opportunity to be in here. So they started on Monday. So they've had 2 days in the lunchroom, which has been great. And so when we come back from spring break, 3rd grade will also roll in there, and then 2nd grade and 1st grade. Some of our kiddos have never eaten in the lunchroom before. And so it's a new experience for kids. Some of them have only eaten in there a little bit. Some kids are struggling a little bit with eating in the lunchroom because it is a noisier situation, because you're going from eating in the classroom with about 16 kids to eating in the classroom with about 70 kids. Even though it's a larger space, so for some kids it is a little bit, it's challenging at times for some of them, but that's okay. They're getting through it and they're doing a great job. Also, students are using lockers, which is great for them to be able to keep their belongings. The teachers love it because their classrooms aren't having all their jackets and stuff, but we also just being able to have the kids have that responsibility, and our kids are really good about not lingering in the hallways and hanging out too much. They're putting their stuff in there and going on. It still blows me away that we don't actually have locks on the lockers coming from California. That's something, we didn't have lockers for one thing, but everything's locked up, tighter than a drum there. So it's important. It's just weird for me to see that happens. We do have tests available for all students and staff. So if someone is feeling like they could have some symptoms, we're more than happy to give them tests so that they can test. If we do have someone that tests positive for COVID, we do have an email that goes out to families. Some 8th grade parents got one about 25 minutes ago. So we did have another positive case in 8th grade, but we've had 4 students and 2 staff members since last month that have happened. So pretty low numbers as a whole, but it's still out there.
Except with that 8th grade class, though, man.
Yeah, they've had like 3.
Hasn't everybody in the class had it?
Yeah, I think so. The 8th grade class has had more than its share. So we're also able to mix pods. We're mixing them obviously in the lunchroom. We're also mixing them outside in playground area, recess time, so kids are able to mix so they don't have to have those set areas. And that's been something that's been a little bit of a challenge for some of the students as well, because they're so used to like, oh, we're going to the Gaga pit today. Well, you can go to the Gaga pit, but you could also, if you want to, go to the swings. And so for having them, because they've been so used to being entrenched in that specific area they're supposed to go in, to start to reach out and go out of the regular, their norm or their new normal. So to get them back into the old normal, which has been nice. And then we also have some student clubs that are happening. Student clubs are clubs that are designed by the students, and then they have an adult supervisor on campus as well to do them. And so we have a Dungeons and Dragons club, which the Dungeons and Dragons club is open through 6th through 8th graders. And it's sort of a mix between a virtual type of game and an in-person game where they can roll their dice and then they strategize and they work as teams. So it's really interesting. I was a little bit taken back at first by Dungeons and Dragons, because I remember when I was a kid, it was sort of this dark thing, but it's more of a, I use the word academic type of game now. And so it makes it interesting. And then we also have the Weathersfield School Lions, which is a student-run club with mission to promote inclusion for all students. And they work together and they meet once a week in that club as well. And it's also open just to 6th through 8th graders. Yep, I think that's about it for that. All right, building community. So continuing those monthly conversations with Chief Spalding regarding fire safety and just general safety of the school. Talked to them this morning because there is a fire today, not here at school by any means, not by school at all, but there was a fire. So just to keep us in the loop of what's going on. I'm also part of the Wethersfield Town Safety Committee, which is exciting to be part of that, to be able to share with our safety plan with our community and be part of the whole town as a whole. And then we have an opportunity for students to share at the annual Wethersfield Memorial Day ceremony. And so be able to share if that's coming up. Back in November, I was the guest speaker at the Veterans ceremony, and so they want our students, I guess they didn't like me as a guest speaker, but they're going to have our students be part of there to share some different ideas or some little bit about information about Memorial Day and what it means to them. So that's going to go out to the staff as well tomorrow so that they can know during our staff meeting. And then also met with Chief Daniels a couple times to talk about internet safety and things that kids are doing online and to be able to follow up with any type of issues of that. So trying to reach out and have that constant community with Wethersfield. All right, parent-teacher conferences are wrapping up. I know I've had some teachers that were still doing some today. Last week was the official days. We had Thursday and Friday that were both early release days for the school. So students got out at 12 o'clock, as you well know as parents. And we were able to have a lot of the conferences and do that. So it was great feedback. I got to sit on some as a principal and as well as a parent. So it's always great to have both of those sides of that and get that information and to see that our students are really doing their best and to make sure that we're getting all their needs met, whether it's intervention or it's enrichment needs as well for students, to make sure that we're meeting them at their level of where they need to be at. Right now, Mrs. Berry, our wonderful PE teacher, who always goes above and beyond. She's amazing, by the way. So she's doing the Kids Heart Challenge, which used to be known as, when I went to school and up until a couple years ago, was Jump Rope for Heart. So now it's just an overall Kids Heart Challenge. And she does this amazing different activities that are all glow stick related for the kids. So today I was in there and they were playing a game of Battleship with, they had the volleyball nets up and then they had like tarps over them so you couldn't see. And then you were supposed to throw the ball over, and if you hit somebody, and I think I hit your son, because I got to play too, which was fun. And so you throw it over, and then if somebody caught it, then they got to run to the other side and change and go. And so it was constantly moving, and it was fun to be able to go out there and play with the kids. So they have different activities. So each student will go through that twice during their PE time for this week, and they get to do different activities each time. And then we also raise money for the American Heart Association. Our school last year was the top producer for the area, which was great. So they raised almost $7,000. And so our goal is just a little over $7,000 this year to try to increase that and see if we can still be the top school. Mission, vision, core statements, still working on that. The kids are a tough group. They really are. Like, they are really taking this seriously, looking at it, and they're tweaking it, and they're not ready for me to present it yet. So we'll continue to meet with those group of students to be able to go over that so we can have it. So hopefully we'll get that done and move on with that. School improvements and makerspace at Wethersfield. So there I have a packet for you guys. And it talks about some of the things that we would like to take a look at for improving within the school. So one of the things we would like to do, especially since we're starting to eat lunch in the cafeteria in here again, is to have round tables. We've got a sample of one that they bought a few years ago. Some of our tables are pretty old and they're starting to fall apart a little bit. So it would be really nice because round tables are a little bit more collaborative. They're just make it for a nicer sitting atmosphere for the kids rather than just the standard benches. So we put up that on there so for some options for some benches. And then the big one in there, there's actually a design of, it's an initial design of what our makerspace could potentially look like. And so when I say makerspace, it's that makerspace room right now, or not that room, it's that makerspace area that is our current computer lab. So it'd be our makerspace and our library would get a little bit of a retrofit. And with that, we would have more flexible seating for the kids in there, as well as replacing carpeting, which is in a couple more slides over on. And then just a general facelift with new furniture that's more conducive to collaborative working for students. So there's a couple pages in there, some different designs, and it's just the basic design right now of it. We can tweak things a little bit, but this is just the actual physical material as far as like furniture, boards, everything in there. It's not the actual equipment that we go with for that. This is just the outfit, the room for the makerspace. So, and then if you have questions on those, we can have somebody come back and we can talk a little bit more about that. But, and it depends on what base we choose, what color. She originally did one because our school colors are red and black, where she did the furniture in red and black. It was a lot of red, a little bit too much. So maybe tweak a little bit and go with something a little bit different. But there's some good ideas in there for us to start to be able to think about that. And then the one we might want to really jump on really quick is our carpet. So our carpet, as I showed you guys last month, I think I showed you last month, in our music room is coming up. The music room is a huge room. We've had some issues in there with the carpet. So we had somebody come out who has the local company. He's done different carpeting for the SU before. So he looked at replacing the carpet in the music room as well as in the office, all the office spaces, because it's pretty worn in there as well. And in the library on the space where students sit on the carpet and do more carpet type short story sharing time. And so he's got each room broken down and with a total installation price for all of them, which is a pretty good deal for the carpeting. So this is somebody that we've used before, Jim Tapp. What he does is this guy is able to get us, he sells carpeting to a larger company. And then when they have leftover pieces that are remnants, he gets them at a reduced price and then shares them to us. But it wouldn't be remnants of carpet where you're gonna have one room be different color than the other. They would still be universal across the school. And so it would be a color, it wouldn't be like, you know, orange or something like that. It would be a color that's still pleasing to us and to the eye on that one.
What's the difference between option 1 and option 2?
For the makerspace?
No, for the carpeting.
For the carpeting, let me go to that page, sorry. So this is actually, it's divided up by rooms. So on the first one, it's library for that space up there. And then down here on the next page, which is option 1 and option 2. The first one, we looked at rubber mats in the music room. No, they're way too expensive. Way too expensive. So what we were looking at was more than just the carpet special. So we would look at option 2. And then he also did an option 3 where we could do it half and half. I prefer just to have one surface in there across the board. It makes the space look better, bigger. It's just more uniform. And then the other one is the different rooms in the office. So the guidance area, the principal and conference area. We'd actually extend and add some carpeting in the main reception area. When you first walk in, it would still be tile, but then the rest of BJ and Carrie's area would be carpeting to make it more of a uniform flow. The storeroom that's off the office would still be tile, but it makes it a little bit easier for that. And those are those areas of carpeting. I know that's a lot of information. I know I talked about so.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll think about it. And
Yep. Absolutely. All right, upcoming events. Spring break, April 11th through the 15th. Everyone's excited about that, getting ready to go on break and have a little bit of vacation and come back ready to go. Once we come back, we will start with SBAC testing for 5th and 8th grade for science. And then we will jump into SBAC testing for grades 3 through 8 in the first 2 weeks of May. So our testing schedule will be going out to our teachers tomorrow, going over everything as far as how we're doing it, when we're doing it. And it's really important with testing to make sure that we keep those 2 weeks sacred, that kids aren't doing homework, they are focused on just taking the test. And then the way I do testing is we do testing just in the morning. If students need to make up or continue on testing, they can do it. We have makeup days embedded in there, but it usually takes just about 2 weeks and then we are done with it. So we should be done right around the middle of May for SBAC testing, but it's important just so everybody sees what we're doing and how well our students are doing at school. All right, talent show June 6th at 6 p.m. Excited about that. And then 8th grade graduation is Tuesday, June 14th. So a couple of long-term things, and then we've got lots of stuff planned in between there. Tonight we did have our opportunity for our parents who have never been in the school, or even if they've been in the school, to come and visit. We had over 20 families that came in. For the tour, it was originally set for March 12th, but we had to change that because of the weather. We also canceled that last vaccine clinic because of the weather. But it was a great opportunity. Some students wanted a tour guide, so BJ and myself were tour guides. Carrie was a tour guide as well. Or some kids decided that they just wanted that self-guided tour because they knew the school. And it was great to see the kids really come alive and share that information with their families about the school and where they go each and every day. So that was an awesome event. Totally just optional for families, and the families seemed to really appreciate it. We also had PTO representation there to just have little prizes for the kids when they walked in, Weathersfield stickers, a Tootsie Roll, and a little toy knick-knack to be able to take home as well. And so the kids all seemed to enjoy that, which was great. All right, and that's it for me. Questions?
Yes,
Ryan?
thank you.
Take a drink.
So I'm here to speak about, what's the acronym for the group?
Weathersfield School Alliance, or WSA.
Weathersfield School Alliance, WSA
Yes.
group.
Yes.
School. Thank you, Mr. Marquez, for allowing me to speak, and thank you for your report. And thank you for your time earlier. We had a pretty good discussion, I think, earlier today on this topic. WSAU.
Just WSA.
WSA.
Just WSA.
All right.
Okay.
People like to give things nice, warm, vague acronyms, right? It's very acceptable. But I think it's important we describe this group as what it really is, as it was told to me by several students who have attended the club at the school. You say it's orchestrated and developed by students. Kind of find that hard to believe because of what is being discussed at this group. Not really aware that my child was aware of these things, or any child for that matter. But the group is, as reported to me by the students, an LGBTQ+ group. That's exactly how it's described. And it's great to include everybody. But I think as long as there's reasons for me to be here as a voice for the kids, and the parents who aren't comfortable, as I'm not comfortable speaking to you guys on this matter, I'm going to be here. All right. The other parents I've spoken to are not aware of this club. They don't know what's going on. They don't know it exists. They don't know their children are going to this club. All right. They're not happy. I'm not happy. As I believe you said, it's been going on for maybe 3 months now, and parents are not aware.
Well, it's been going on since last year.
Yeah,
Right, I'm assuming that's how the flag got on the school last year, but let's,
We approved the club at a meeting, I believe it was last May.
right,
They came to us, they wanted to purchase a flag, gay pride to buy for the month of June.
on a pedestal on top of the school.
And they wanted to start a club.
Right,
We received 2 very eloquent speeches from 2 very well-spoken members of that year's 8th grade class, and we decided to approve the club. It was totally student-run,
right.
The students were the ones that came to us with the idea.
Okay, but I'm here to acknowledge the fact that the parents aren't aware it's happening. They're not aware their kids are going. So what I would like to see is some notifications. You've announced it today at school, but you didn't really say what's discussed or what it's even about, right? It's nice that you brought it up.
I'm happy to speak to that, Mr. Gabe. I have a question about that.
Sure, in a minute. But how about, how many people are here attending the meeting? Not very many. How many people are watching at home? Not very many. The parents are not aware. So you really need to send home something physical on paper, you know, a leaflet, whatever.
And I told you I could definitely do that.
I think that would be appropriate.
Yep.
For the discussions that are being held. You know, if you're having gender identity discussions and transitioning discussions with children who are 11 years old, the parents should be aware that these discussions are happening at school. It is not part of the curriculum. The parents need to know.
So if you'd like me to speak to, I have been, this is Melissa Cole, the school counselor. I'm one of the co-advisors of the club. What you're describing, just so you know, Mr. Gabe, those conversations have never happened as a part of the held club. What we have actually done for the club thus far is when we've sat with the kids, we've created a very clear mission statement. And the mission statement actually is not just for LGBTQ students. We opened the umbrella to minority students in general. And so as a part of when we were asking students to come, we also encourage students of minority, whether that is race or creed, or gender orientation as well. I can speak to the fact that I think that a lot of our students in that club have openly shared things and saying, their pronouns, for example. That's the one conversation for students who have said, oh, actually, I would like to use the they pronoun. And so that's the extent of that. The other part of what we have done, so the first part was me really working with the students to what is our mission. Our mission is to create an environment in the school that promotes inclusion for all students, regardless of your background. That's our general mission. And then the second part of what we have done is students were very interested in being able to raise funds so that we would have money to promote, whether it was special events that we brought into the school with permission or events for the club. So far from our meetings, those are the only discussions that have been had. There was one meeting where students did make posters to share, to let other students know, to let parents when they came into the building to know that that was what the club was and when it was held. And as Mr. Martin said, it is only for 6th to 8th graders.
Thank you for the clarity, but being that it's at school, the school is facilitating this. You can say the kids are doing it on their own, but they're clearly not, okay? As well, it's great to involve everyone, make everyone comfortable at school, but don't you consider the fact that having this going on at the school is also distracting other kids from their learning, right? We want everyone to be comfortable, but this stuff going on, these kids are having weird conversations and they're being distracted from what they're at school is to learn academically. So this is also very distracting to the kids who are trying to focus on what they're here for, which is academics. And yeah, I'll wrap it up. But this is also resulting in bullying going on in the school. And I address this, it's happening. A girl should not be made to feel that she's too girly. She's a girl and she's happy being a girl and she's gonna be a girl. She wants to be a girl. She can dress how she wants in the school and she shouldn't be discriminated against for the way she dresses. Other people can dress the way they want. They can wear a wig, they can do what they want, and that's acceptable and it wouldn't be tolerated, right? I'm bringing the awareness to the entirety of the people. I would like to see something sent home and an opt-out, method granted for the parents, so everyone's well aware of exactly what's happening at the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
When is this?
It's during their recess time on Thursdays. During their choice time.
And there's someone online, Nathan McNaught would like to speak.
Great, thank you. I'm actually in line boarding a plane right now, so I'm going to talk really quick. I just want to thank the school for giving this opportunity to have this club, to create this safe space so kids can talk about real issues that are real to them, even though it creates a lot of anxiety in adults who are not prepared for that conversation. So again, I just want to thank you for having the courage to have that space for these kids.
Thank you.
Some feel these conversations should be had at home.
Brian, this is our board meeting. Okay, you can't just speak out loud whenever you feel like it.
Thank you. Any other questions for me? Yes.
I'm just curious, is this the group that's out there? Are all
Can you just give your name first?
Sorry, my name's Kristen Grace. I have 2 children here. One is in 6th grade. And no, I didn't know about this group, and I'm fine with like knowing, but are parents all aware that their kids are in there? Are they notified what's going on in the group? And are the parents told my child, I would want to know my child is participating in this group as a parent, he's my child, right? And I'm all for it. If you came to me to talk to me and ask me, but I think it should be a permission based, right? Because if he wants to join clubs or sports, I have to sign up, right? I would want to know as a parent as well, because he's underage. And that's my responsibility. As a parent, if he's under 18, he's my responsibility. So if he's in a club, my son is very open with it, talks to me about everything, talks to me about certain clubs, but I've always been very well informed between emails, things I didn't know about this club. I think it should have been told to parents and who's in the club, so parents are more aware. I mean, if my kid's going to school telling his friends or so-and-so, oh, I want to be called this or change this. As a parent, I want to be aware, because if other kids are going home and saying, hey, we're inviting so-and-so, and then it finally gives back to the parent, I think the parent would be very upset, not knowing that this is happening. And that's just my thought as a parent, that everyone should be informed what your child is doing at school. Because I trust you guys. I trust you to take care of my child when I can't. So I would love to, if my child is in programs that I don't. Thank you.
We have 2 more people online. John, for example, let's speak. John?
This is actually Kelly. So we were both here. So this is Kelly Broker Campbell. I just want to say that I think having this safe space and a school that feels inclusive to all students is so important. Students in this group that might feel that they're in this group or belong to this group are at a really high risk for depression and them being bullied and having issues. So having a group that supports them, I think, is really great. I also love that it is student-led and that it was their idea and that they want to have it. And then my question is, do students have to sign, or parents have to sign something for students to join the Dungeons and Dragons Club? Is that a policy that the school has with clubs, that things go home to parents for every club that students are in? Because it should just be same across the board, is my feeling.
No, there isn't a policy for student clubs as far as parent permission, no matter what the club is. If it's something that's during their recess time, it's open for them to choose to go to it.
We have a comment from Amy Hill.
I have a comment.
Okay.
Hi there, my name is Amy Hill. I wanted to also express that I feel that having a safe space at the school is wonderful and very important for our students. They're saying that they want this and leading it themselves. My child told me a year ago that she joined this group, so I knew about it, and she shares it and what they do. So it's been something that's communicated, and I want to express that I also believe that it should be the same across the board with all clubs. My daughter also is in the Dungeons and Dragons Club, which I've heard about, and neither one requires permission. And I think both are wonderful additions to the school community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan,
Yes, nobody's in opposition to the club itself. What I'm upset about and other parents are upset about is the fact that the parents aren't aware, and that we're also not aware our children are going. We just want some clarity on what's going on, and we feel like we should be informed. Like if a club like this exists, the parents should know, and if your kid's going, you should certainly know.
Melissa, would you like to explain why the kids might not want to?
I mean, a part of the idea behind the club is that it is a safe space for students to talk about issues regardless of how you identify. I can tell you that this was something that was discussed at the very beginning of our first meeting. And I had quite a few students who said to me, Ms. Cole, please don't tell my parents. Because this is something, either the student has certain things in some realm that they're a minority. And to be quite honest, in our community, we don't have very many students that are minorities based race of creed. Our minority is students and their gender orientation, or their gender identity. That is a large part of the minority students that we have. We only have a few students that have different racial backgrounds and very few that I'm aware of that have different religious backgrounds. So this is our largest minority community. So it is the largest, and I would put most of the students who are minorities in the group identify as. And I had quite a few students who said that they were afraid that there would be repercussions at home from parents who would not understand their desire to either be in the club to support a friend who identifies in a specific way, or that they would have some sort of repercussion for having to come out to their parents when they weren't ready. And it has been my experience. This was not a club that I started last year. It was students who came to me. And it actually this year took me, and I can show you the emails, Mr. Gay, of students bombarding me with emails saying, can we do this club again? And what I said to them was, you need to write up a proposal to Mr. Marquez. And
I like to respond.
I did nothing until I had several students for several months respond. In my past history, I have supported students at my other middle schools and run this club. We did not tell parents about it because it was in the middle of the school day. Therefore, we did not need parent permission to do extra things.
The school does not allow a child to come to school dressed the way they choose, but you want to have gender identity discussions and transitional discussions with our children. So you're okay with our children choosing their gender at 11, but you're not okay with them dressing the way they want.
So just so you know, I don't write the handbook. I can just follow it based on what the board says. And your question about how children identify, we actually have never in the club actually had a conversation in depth about any student transitioning. I haven't been to 2 of the meetings I think that we held. It is possible that it happened, but I would tell you that the advisor who was there in my stead would have addressed me immediately, because I don't think she would have been comfortable at all for that conversation. If those conversations are happening in the school, they're happening outside of the club.
That may be the case, but that's not how it was reported to me by people present. Again, I strongly feel that parents need to be aware. Parents do have the right to know what their children are doing at the school. Okay, that's our right as a parent. We need to know if we're having these kind of discussions. Some of us might rather have the discussion at home. Most of us as parents are very comfortable talking to our own children, and we accept our children. It's great to have a safe space for everybody here at school, but I'm pretty sure the children feel safe at home.
If that's the case, Ryan, then they will come to you and they will talk to you about this. If your
Which
children
they
don't
do.
feel safe about it, then they won't come to you. So your children are coming to you, so you know about the club. You know if a parent doesn't know, it's because their child is afraid. And we're not gonna out kids to their parents.
I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that it's because the children are afraid that their parents don't know. I don't think that's fair to the parents. You're making judgments on a child that hasn't told you that's how they feel. So you shouldn't speak for everybody, Ms. Redmond. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Curtis?
Thank you.
Okay, up next we have the superintendent's report. David?
Yeah, I will, Brian, are you going to stop sharing probably so I can just share? Mine is very quick. Brian usually covers all the bases, which is great. So Brian, are you still sharing there? It looks like you might be. Or no?
No, I'm not still. You can go ahead and share.
Okay, so I can share. All right, that sounds good. And let me do that right now. Yeah. So And this is really quick, and some of it Brian already mentioned. I'll just do this quickly. Just some general updates. We have noted the COVID transmission cases stayed a bit higher last week throughout the SU. Heartland seems to be having the biggest issue with staff infection and students getting infected, but not to the point again where we can't operate. And the AOE just last week recommended that we, all districts basically, just stay the course. Don't get too wound up with what the CDC is saying about the different grades of infection, but we'll stay the course with optional masking and trying to mitigate where possible. I think Brian mentioned this, but we are going to send some test kits home this weekend, encouraging parents before kids return to school after vacation that they do a couple of days of antigen testing and report any positive cases, of course, to the school nurse. I think that'll help. It did help back in February, so we're thinking it'll be helpful this time around. Talking about equity and the work around equity, the equity audit request for proposals went out to about 10 vendors. We are partnering with Springfield on this endeavor. The proposals are due back on April 15th. We already have our first proposal back. I've been in touch with Superintendent Springfield, and we are going to try to set up a process by which we vet these proposals and look at these different vendors. Probably it'll involve a couple of board members from Springfield, and then maybe a couple of people from each of our equity task forces, parent, if we can get a parent to help us with that, and then try to choose a vendor that'll do the job that we've asked them to do. And we'd like to have somebody chosen, by early May, middle of May, so we can start scoping out the course of work. We don't think that any of the actual surveys, site visits, will actually happen until probably the beginning of next year. But what's nice about an equity audit from those people who I've heard that have had one is it does give you a baseline in terms of curriculum, hiring practices, job descriptions, policies, procedures, quite frankly, clubs and activities. All of that will be taken into account in the equity audit, and we'll get a full report back to both the Springfield Board and the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union Board. These will be the Springfield audit, and the Windsor Southeast audit will be the Windsor Southeast audit. So it's not like we're going to be mixing up the data or mixing up the surveys, but I'm just glad to have a district close by to us that was willing to partner, because it'll help defray some of the expenses, especially when we talk about, traveling and materials and resources. So stay tuned. I'll keep you posted on that. I reported this at the Supervisory Union Board. Teacher and support staff agreements have been signed. The teachers have a 3-year agreement, and so do the support staff. The difference is the teachers' master agreement, the union agreement, it starts this year because they didn't have a contract for this year. So they'll actually go out 2 years, and then the support staff will be out through 2025. But that's good, because then you're not negotiating teachers and support staff at the same time. It should help. But Jackie was a member of the Wethersfield Board, was a great addition to the team that negotiated those contracts. At-will contracts are already out this week, and the individual teacher and support staff contracts will go out by the 15th of April. Teachers and support staff have 15 days to return those. We like to make sure that you kind of know who's returning enough in advance so that you can make changes and advertise positions where people are not coming back. Parent conferences seem to be going well. Brian already talked about that. I think they're finishing up in most districts now, but good comments back from parents who have done those. Free lunch Wednesdays. I always make sure I'm in the building on Wednesdays because that's when we get fed. And hats off to our kitchen and cafeteria workers actually in all 4 buildings. Weathersfield has an especially fine lead head cook and assistant, and the food in there is great. But I'm hearing very positive support from teachers and support staff thanking the boards and the union for providing this. It was just a little token of appreciation for the last 2 years. Kids eat free through universal lunch anyway, but it's getting more teachers and more support staff who might not normally eat in the cafeteria to see how great our food really is. Last day of school is the noon dismissal on June 17th. I think I've announced that in my email blasts. We'll also probably in this email blast announce all the graduation dates. As you know, we do sometimes share students. We do try to organize those dates around so that they don't conflict with one another, understanding that you might have a high school student, you know, in Weathersfield and an 8th grade student in Weathersfield. So you want to make sure that you have those dates organized and that it works out. We're hoping for good weather. There were some outdoor graduations last year. Weathersfield did not do that, but we got some great feedback on the schools that did. But our graduations are always well organized, and they're really fun. And I think this year's 8th grade will deserve a special send-off because they've spent, you know, the last 2 years in this very difficult climate of quarantine and COVID. So hats off to them and masks off to them as well. I mean, I think they did a great job. We've got great kids in this supervisory union, and we should all be very proud of what they do. I think that's it for me. If there's any questions, I'll take them. I'll stop presenting now, and I'll turn it back over to you, Anne Marie.
Brian has a question for you. Brian, go ahead.
Good evening, Dr. Baker. I just wanted to say I concur and fully agree with your feelings on the CDC. I just wanted to announce that they announced today, so everyone knows, they're pretty much doing a full revamp of their institution due to, in their own words, you can get a speaker, a lack of transparency and expediency in their data release. So I think that's good news. Hopefully things will get better with the CDC. And there's also a new mass study, a scientific study released, I believe, yesterday, that you can view on dailyclout.io. And it mostly pertains to the younger children that were masked, as far as how damaging that can be, especially with identifying people, their growth, development. So I think that's very eye-opening, and if people are interested in that, they should look that up. But it mostly pertains to like toddlers and the younger kids, the more developed, accelerate the kids. So I just think people should, you know, take a gander at that before they think about masking young children. Thank you.
Dr. Baker, when you mentioned about the Atwill and all the contracts that you said that are going out, are those contracts for next year, just for clarification?
Yes, those would be contracts for employment next year based on agreements. And the at-will contracts, many of our at-will employees already had 2-year contracts, so those salaries have been set, including your new principal, who, by the way, I think is doing a great job. He had a 2-year contract. So some of those, you know, they're just automatic. And usually what we do with the other at-will contracts, which would be, you know, administrative assistants, clerical folks, administrators, we tend to take the negotiated teacher rate and we just apply that. That's what we've always done. But to answer your question, Jamie, yeah, that's for next year.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, Dr. Baker? Hearing none, we'll move on. Up next, we have items for discussion. And the first item that we have is the STEAM camp.
All right, STEAM camp. So STEAM camp, the information has gone out there to our teaching staff because I'm trying to get the right staff or the right staff on board before we send it out to families. So far it has been very slow with getting staff. So I am going to send it out SU wide to try to get some more interest in doing it. We have geared it so it's going to be in the afternoon. So if kids are going to the academy at Windsor, then they can come here as well, or they can just come, and it's purely going to be an enrichment activity. So it is going to be fun for students, and it's all going to be STEAM based. So we will work out the logistics as soon as we get the right people to be able to teach it. So we are working on that process.
I do want to mention that the River Valley Tech Center is having a STEAM summer camp the week of June 27th through 30th. We should avoid.
Yeah, ours won't start till after the 4th of July holiday. I believe the dates are July 7th through August 5th, something right around there. I don't know off the top of my head, I apologize. So it's right around there. So it's for 4 weeks. But it's the same as the
summer camp.
Yep, we're paying the same that they're paying. We're doing everything the same to be able to get, the right people on board. So we're working on that. Question? Yes, Meredith. Oh, sorry.
Thank you,
I don't know if I'm supposed to
Meredith
just answer
Kelly.
questions. Sorry. I'm just all taking over here.
May I make, or ask the question?
Yeah, can you just give her your name?
Yes, Meredith Kelly, EY. Is it a come as you go, leave as you go kind of camp, or is it going to be?
It's a set time. So it's going to be, it's 12:30 to 3:30.
But for like day, you can come at a certain day, but not come next week, is that, or is it going to be?
It should be consistent unless, but we'll, because it is a summer camp, so we can work on figuring that out. I just need to get the right staffing before I can figure out the logistics of it. And yeah.
Okay.
So
I won't get too excited.
don't get excited yet, but it's, if we're able to pull it off, it's going to be fun.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
My son's robotics team would love to come and give a robotic, its first robotics. They would come and give a demonstration with another robotics team, have their team robots sort of battle it out.
Okay.
It's not battle bots, they don't
Yeah.
destroy each other, they just, shoot baskets and the robots climb up ladders and stuff.
Very cool. Okay. All right. I'll write that down so we can take notes on it. So yeah, so we're trying to, I'm talking about it again tomorrow at our staff meeting, and then I throw it out there. So I'm going to try to get some people excited about it. So.
Anyone else have any questions regarding the STEAM camp? We will, so we'll put that on our agenda for next month.
Yep, put it on there. We'll get it going.
All right, we have, next is plans for the spring production.
Okay, so our spring production, we agreed upon that we're going to have the talent show. It is going to be June the 6th. We have Zach Shambo, our music teacher, who's going to be helping out and organizing it, and Eric Emling. And then we have our own Carrie Jewell here, who's going to be helping with a dance production for some awkward adults that are going to be trying to dance, meeting the staff. So we're going to be working on that. It is that second to last week of school. It's on a Monday night. It also coincides with our book fair. So our buy one, get one free book fair that we're putting on. So parents can come here and hopefully we'll be able to do it in the stage area. If not, we'll have an alternate for outside. We have 13 applicants from students so far. We are doing tryouts the week of the 25th. So we'll push it again that week we get back from spring break and then start having tryouts so kids can start participating. And then the talent show is also for students, for any student who has a talent, even if they can't perform on stage, then, if they have a video of something that they've done, if they're like, I think I mentioned last time, that if like they're into motocross or something similar like that, if they record themselves doing that, then they can present that. They'd still have to present, talk a little bit about what they're doing. So we're trying to open it up for as many students as we can. So we have a date set. We have people involved. We have some volunteers. We're moving right along.
Are there any comments regarding the spring musical? Yes, Fred?
Yes, thank you. It's great you guys are doing that. I can't leave without mentioning this because I promised my eldest student I would. But there's strong interest for a school dance. So I think maybe that's something the board should consider, having for the students, something they're really wanting.
That is something we've talked about with the students as well. Many students have brought that up to me, so that is part of our planning process. So tell her it's in the works.
Will do.
All right, thank you. I think she mentioned it to me, by the way.
Next, we have a hiring update.
So we are deep into hiring right now. We have some really great candidates for fifth grade elementary spot. So we're looking at those. Dr. Baker got to meet one of the candidates today. So we're in that process. We also are now getting ready to start interviewing for the foreign language teacher, world language. And then we do have to interview for a music teacher. So that posting will go out because Mr. Shambo and his wife, Mrs. Shambo, who's ours, we also have to look for a social emotional interventionist because their love of Disney has taken over their lives and they decided to move to Orlando. So that's a huge loss for our school, great for them, but they shared that with the students recently. So we are in the process of looking now for a music teacher. So anybody knows of a music teacher and an SEI, please let us know because we need somebody that has that right fit and has that energy that Mr. Shambo and Mrs. Shambo both have. So huge loss for Weathersfield. Sad to see them go. But hopefully we will have a name for you shortly for a fifth grade teacher. And then we'll do that and we'll introduce that person at our next board meeting. So hoping to do it sooner than later, but we're still working on it.
Right, do we have any items for action? I don't think so. What is that? I think we need to vote on.
I have something that doesn't really fit into the agenda anywhere.
Okay.
It would be on as a clerk, I'm to sign off on warrants. And I went in to go sign off on warrants and put just for transparency, the person that was clerk before me did not sign a lot of the warrants and there's massive staff. And I don't feel comfortable signing on anything before I get on board. And I was wondering, there was also, as I got through all of my organizations, both of my organizations, I haven't been able to find anything about further explaining the warrants. And so I was, or somebody who had been here prior would come in with me one day and sign off on the things before I was in.
David, do you know, is there something that we need, are these warrants that need to be signed, the previous ones?
No, I know that I was told that there was quite a stack of Weathersfield warrants at the supervisory union office. I just found that out on Monday. So who's supposed to be signing those?
Nicole is now our clerk, but she has only been here since March, and so she's not comfortable signing once prior.
Yeah, I know what's happening. What's happening with Heartland, Anne Marie, is that, but I know your days, I know you don't get a lot of time, but Nikki's been coming in just in the interim until folks get used to it to sign those warrants. So I don't know whether there's another board member who'd be willing to do the stack that's sitting there, that, somebody who's been around for a while. The office is open from, I think, 6:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. So if somebody would like to do that, it would be great. I know there are 2 stacks there, and sometimes that'll tie up the vendors. You can't pay them unless the warrants are signed. Some of them we can, but some of them we can't.
Okay, Mark and I will work it out. Mark and I will do it.
Okay, that'd be helpful. And Gail McCoy is the one, and I can let her know too that, she can reach out to both of you, and then you can work out somebody, because I do agree with Nicole. I mean, she'll be looking at a warrant and she won't know whether it's, she's brand new. So it's going to take a little bit of time, I think, but hopefully within the next month or so, she'll feel more comfortable with that.
We'll talk about it. You're on. Give them a second. Learning that further.
Yeah, just David, can you have Gail contact us directly, please?
That's what I'll do. I'll have her reach out to both of you.
And include Jackie. Sometimes I think Jackie's schedule is a little flexible this time. So.
It would be wonderful if I could be included in those so that I could perhaps coordinate my schedule and go in and maybe get some hands-on experience with the other board members.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I can have her email all three of you. And then let's say, Mark, you're going to go in, if you could coordinate a time with Nicole, just to kind of, it's really, and the nice thing too about it, and this is good for you to know too, Nicole, Gail is right there. Gail answers any questions, what's this, $1,000 trip to Bermuda, which I'm only joking, but I mean, she would, she'd be able to tell you exactly what those expenses were for. And you don't sign every single one. You simply sign the master. That's why it's called a warrant. You sign the master warrant.
Do we know why we would have so many outstanding?
Well, bills, bills come in, but some of them are payroll warrants, but those are the ones we can pay. In terms of, we're required by law, obviously, to get the payroll out on the 1st and the 15th. But then there are other, contracted services, small items that teachers buy, for classrooms, resources, materials, supplies. It might be copy and maintenance. I think some of that goes through the SU, but believe it or not, it can over the course of a month or two, it can stack up. And this is the time when it starts to stack up because we don't even really have a board until we appoint everybody, in March. So that's why I think right now, early April is when you got the, so it's time to get somebody in there is the bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. Nicole should be with when we do this, if at all possible.
Yeah, I'll have Gail reach out to all three of you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to us. Okay, so nothing else to vote on today. Up next will be setting the next agenda. And I know we want to talk some more about the STEAM camp. Hopefully we'll have good plans for that. Do we want to keep the spring production on the radar?
Yes, please. And also the hiring update. I think we also add student activities. Clubs or dances and other opportunities for students to have extracurricular activities at school. We'll talk a little bit about 8th grade and what we're doing for our 8th graders on their send-off. We already have a plan, but I'll share that with you guys.
8th graders?
Yep.
Oh, for their
end of the year activities, yeah.
Is that under items for discussion?
Yeah, let's talk about that too, because that's always fun. We're sending them off with a blast.
Got me worried. Does anyone else have anything they want to put on the agenda? Oh yeah, we should discuss the what we want to call it, building maintenance. Oh, that's right. We're supposed to have a
School improvement stuff.
Dr. Baker, we had put down that in May we would have Larry and Jim Taft give a building report.
Sorry, my mic was off. Yeah, and they are prepared to do that, so we should get that on the agenda. They want to give you a draft sort of 3 to 5 year maintenance plan so you can all look at it. It will certainly, and they'll be in touch with you, Brian, if they haven't already, it'll include, some of the things that, Brian mentioned with carpeting and there's some painting, some routine painting, but yeah, I would put that on the agenda. The other thing I forgot to do was share out just quickly. I won't do it now, but I'll put it in the chat. Ed did provide the financials for Weathersfield School District for tonight. And you're still running a pretty good surplus. Let me put the link in the chat. You should be able to open it. And then if you have questions, next, there it is. You can you can ask those questions, but I think it's about $282,000 surplus right now. Partly because we haven't been able to hire some folks, but also there are some other, you'll see when you look at the report.
Mark?
David, if you have a chance, if you could see if they have any recommendations on our ventilation concerns that were brought up before, if they're available to address anything they have on that next time in that report, it'd be appreciated. Thank you.
I will do that, Mark.
Meredith?
Thanks, Meredith Kelly. I'm now speaking as a representative of the PTO, and we were wondering if we could request an update for the May meeting to just kind of close the year and let folks know what we've been up to as we've been as active as we can be.
Would you like me to include that as part of my lead learner report? Or do you want that as a separate item?
Put it in the.
Thank you very much. As we're we're all together. PTO. All right, we're here.
Thank you for everything. Let's see, so that seems like a pretty good agenda. I think we've got enough. Unless anybody's got anything else. Okay, and that meeting will be the second Tuesday of May at 6:30. May 10th. Okay. May 10th at 6:30. And it'll be the same hybrid format.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. It allows people to come on. What's the date again, Anne Marie? Sorry, I missed that.
At 6:30.
6:30.
And then, do we have any need for executive session tonight?
I don't think so. Brian?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. I guess, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Okay. Paul made the motion to adjourn. Second. Any will second? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Nicole, if you want to hang on just for a second, and I just want to talk a little bit about the minutes with you.
Are you on your own computer, Nicole? Well, are you on your own computer still on the?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to close out this one then, okay?
I'll just have David send it to me.
I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Figured I probably would forget about it.
Okay, great. I'm going to stop recording here just.